Thanks for tuning in to episode 5 of the worship guitar tutorial. And in honor of our 5th episode, I'm going to show you 5 practicing techniques that I use to help me become a better musician. Now, these practices are only things that I use, and there are so many options out there that are available to you. And essentially, playing your guitar at any point is going to make you a better player. However, I've found that these 5 things have actually produced a higher quality musicianship in my playing. The first and most important practicing tool that I use is very simple. It's just the major scale. What I do is I play the major scale starting on each individual note, working up and down the fretboard. So I start on the first note of the scale, and then the second note, and so on. Here's a great example of me playing the scale, starting on each note of the scale, and this is in the key of A. For each of these practices, I highly suggest using a metronome. When you use a metronome, you can start at a slower speed and track your progress, and then eventually move up to a faster speed, and you'll be able to see the difference. With the major scale, I'd also like to point out that I'm using alternate picking on my right hand. This improves your accuracy and speed. The second practicing tool that I use is very similar to the first. It's just the pentatonic scales. I'm not going to show you each one going up the fretboard, but it's exactly the same as the major scale. I do each shape working all the way up using alternate picking. With the pentatonic scale, because it's so versatile and used so widely, I spend a lot of extra time on this one. You can practice starting on different notes or skipping notes. Here's a video of me skipping every other note, playing what is known as thirds. The pentatonic scale practice is also a great one to use the metronome on. The third practicing technique I use is a finger independence exercise. What I do is I pick a spot on the fretboard and put my fingers on the G string starting on each fret. From there, I keep my fingers planted and only move the finger that I designate to move. My first and second finger, or first and third, or first and fourth, and move up and down the fretboard, following each finger while keeping the rest of the fingers planted. Here's a great example. The fourth practicing technique I use is when I'm learning a solo or a lead line, I slow it down. What I'll do is I'll learn all the notes for the solo, and then I'll slow it down using a metronome and practice at a slower speed, making sure all my rhythm and technique are accurate. Once I become comfortable at the slower speed, I'll work my way up, speeding up the metronome until I reach the BPM that the actual solo is at. The fifth practicing technique that I use is bending the strings while playing the major scale. What I'll do is play the major scale up and down on different strings, bending up and down to each note. This exercise creates a lot of finger strength and helps you know your instrument better. You'll get a really good feel for how well the strings bend on your instrument and where exactly the point is to reach the next note. Thanks for tuning into this episode, and I hope you took away just a few things that will help you improve your technique and skill.